What is up, everyone, and welcome back to Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney. My name is Isaiah, and I will be your public appointed defendant for the evening. And what can I say? We are here at the very final trial. We're nearing the end of the road. We might have this episode and maybe one more, and we'll take it from there. See what happens next. But for this experience, we are very close to wrapping it up. So, without further ado, let's get into this trial. Let's uncover some secrets. Here we go. This is the defendant lobby, alright, but there's no defendant. I've been trying to reach Lana all morning. Where could she be? Where's Emma, for that matter? It almost seems as if something's been happening behind the scenes. Who is this? I'm going to put a guess on it. It is Gant. It's Edgeworth. Edgeworth! Knowing you, you've already figured it out. Who the owner of the 77 ID number is, that is. Well, I have a pretty strong hunch. I mean, I'm sure we know. Looks like I'm not the only one who's figured it out. The only reason this trial didn't reach a verdict yesterday was because there was still room for doubt regarding this ID record. If that number does belong to whom you suspect, then no doubt will remain. After all, he hasn't been officially charged with anything. True, not yet. In the event, once all doubt has been removed from that list, I can call for a ruling. 5 minutes right, and Chief Prosecutor Skye will be found guilty. She didn't do it, though. Well, I figured you'd say as much. That's why I came here to hear what you have to say. Okay, he's never done this before. This is a new Edgeworth we're seeing. Lana's hiding something. The only way we'll never know the truth is to draw it out of her. The truth. Everything goes back to the SL9 incident, Edgeworth. Don't be stupid. Today's the last day of the trial. We don't have time to reminisce about the past. That depends on you, my friend. If she's found guilty, you'll lose your only chance to find out what really happened. Think about it. See you in court, right? Alright, Edgeworth. We'll see you there, bud. This is it. I'm never going to find out what Chief Gant has on her. It's now. Oh boy, here we go. Feels good to be back in the courtroom, man. I gotta say. Woo! Court is now in session for the trial of Miss Lana Skye. The defense is ready, Your Honor. The prosecution is ready, Your Honor. Normally, this is when the prosecution puts forth its opening statement. But before that, the police chief has a proposal to make. Chief Gant, There he is. What's up, buddy?
Morning, folks. How's everyone doing today? Hey, have you been back to the pool yet?
No, I've been drowning enough as it is in my work.
Oh, that's a good one. Don't think I can top that.
If you don't mind me asking, Chief, what exactly is the proposal of yours? I'm listening. What is it, bud?
Lana, that is to say, the defendant, has asked me if she could speak directly to the court.
She wants to do what now? What? Say what?
Having heard what she intends to say, I feel she should be granted her request.
I missed what she said. Missed what he said there, bud. What's this all about, defendant? I'd just like to make one simple request, and I'll be finished.
Well then, what's your request?
Your Honor, I'd like you to put an immediate end to this trial. What? I confess to all charges against me. On February 21st of this year, I murdered Detective Bruce Goodman in the underground parking lot of the prosecutor's office. Oh, snap. She's going for it. Hold up. You can't do that. Your Honor, the defendant's claim does not change the defense's plea. In that case, Mr. Wright, I no longer require your services. Oh, she's firing me. Fired! But Lana, wait, think about what you're doing. Forfeits her right to attorney. The prosecution may lack direct evidence against me, but it has sufficiently proven its case through testimony and circumstantial evidence. I would like you to render your verdict now, if you please.
Well, the defendant certainly has the right to self-representation. Her request is legally valid, although this is an unprecedented situation. Indeed, it appears there's no need to further continue this trial, even if Mr. Wright may feel otherwise.
What? Alright, who's gonna object? It's gonna be, so it's gonna be the black screen. It's gonna be like, wait, objection, or something. And it's gonna be doom, doom, doom. And then someone will appear.
Appears the time for verdict has arrived. This qualifies the defendant. Here it comes.
There it is. One moment, Your Honor. It was Edgeworth. It was Edgeworth. That's one of my favorite parts about these trials, is when that happens. It's so funny. The prosecution has not yet proven the defendant guilty beyond reasonable doubt. Any ruling at this stage would certainly be premature.
Come now, Worthy. I understand this is a little difficult time for you, but why don't you just be a good little boy and keep your mouth shut,
Oh, Edgeworth saving the day again. Redemption arc. I love my guy. I don't think I care for your tone, Chief Gant.
What?
Creating another fabrication to cover up your past mistakes. Sorry, but I'm no longer the naive little boy you would have me be. Ooh! With a sudden confession from the defendant, it's obvious to me some kind of deal was struck behind the scenes.
Some kind of deal, Not everyone operates as you do, Worthy.
I thought so. Your Honor, the prosecution would like to change its first witness.
Oh, to whom?
As its first witness, the prosecution would like to call Miss Emma Skye. Ooh! I request the court hears her testimony. Mr. Edgeworth, I am exercising my right to self-representation. I don't think we need to I don't care what you think, Miss Skye. Ooh! The exposure of truth sometimes results in tragedy. However, no matter how tragic the truth may be, it would be an even greater tragedy to avert one's eyes from it. Ooh! Edgeworth. Just spitting fire at the court right now.
Very well, the court shall grant the prosecution's request. It's okay with you, right, Chief Gant? Worthy, you'll live to regret this. Mark my words.
Ooh, that was ominous. Miss Emma Skye, please take the stand. Looks like Edgeworth has decided to take the horse by the reins. Let's do it. The bull by the horns, if you will. There she is. What's up, Emma? Now then, witness, please state your name and occupation.
My name is Emma Skye. My occupation, I'm Lana's little sister, and I want to be a scientific investigator.
2 years ago, you encountered the serial killer Joe Darke of the Joe Darke killings. Is this correct?
Yes, I'm trying my hardest to forget about that, though.
I'm sorry, but I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to recall those events one more time.
Mr. Edgeworth, please remember this trial concerns the murder of Detective Goodman. It's an incident that was resolved 2 years ago. Really all that relevant?
Yes, it is, Judge. Yes, it most certainly is.
Well, okay then.
Okay. Now, please testify about what happened to you 2 years ago. The trip to yesterday has finally begun. It's bound to lead to the truth behind this trial. Here we go. Let's get it. Alright, Emma, what do you say?
I was waiting in my sister's office that day. A man came running in and he took me hostage. Neil Marshall rescued me, but I'll never forget what I saw in that instant. The man raised up his knife and stabbed Mr. Marshall in the chest.
Yeah, but we know you passed out. You didn't actually see it.
Good thing you weren't harmed.
I passed out. I don't remember much.
It's understandable. However, please tell me, Mr. Edgeworth.
Whoops!
What does this testimony have to do with Detective Goodman's murder?
That will soon become apparent, Your Honor. You got to admire him for his courage, considering he has no evidence.
Very well, the defense may begin its cross-examination.
Alright, let's get it. It's time. Let's get it. Alright, Emma. You were waiting in your sister's office, huh? 2 years ago, the defendant was a detective at the police department, correct?
Yes, she was second in command under the then Deputy Chief of Police Gant. My sister, she's the best detective ever.
Yes, I remember. Deputy Chief Gant and Miss Skye used to be quite the pair.
I believe they shared the same office.
That's right. I always sit at my sister's desk and dream about playing that organ. I wanted to play it that day, too.
The police department and the prosecutor's office held a ceremony that day.
Lana promised to take me to dinner after she finished her work.
Right. Man came running in, he took me hostage. Okay, that was Joe Darke. A man.
Yes, Joe Darke. He was a serial killer.
We know. Joe Darke was brought in for questioning on the day of that ceremony. We were desperate to get anything on him that would lead to an arrest.
When he saw his chance, he fled the room, right?
Upon fleeing the room, Darke proceeded to take the elevator. He must have been in a panic because the elevator was going up. Then he ran into Skye and Gant's office.
There's a lot of noise coming from outside, so I opened up the door to have a look, and that's when I saw him.
Neil Marshall rescued you. What was the prosecutor doing there? That day, there were two people present during Darke's questioning, Deputy Chief Damon Gant and Prosecutor Neil Marshall. Almost forgot about Gant. Neil Marshall had just received the King of Prosecutors Award. Young and dedicated, he went straight to the questioning room after the ceremony.
I assume that would also be why he was the first to run after Darke.
When Darke grabbed me, I thought I was good as dead.
That's when Professor Marshall came running in?
I don't clearly remember what happened then, but...
Never forget what you saw in that instant, even though you just said you passed out. Can you tell us about that?
Mr. Marshall jumped on Darke, and then just then the lights went out.
The lights?
It was just about this time of year. There was a terrible storm going on, and lightning struck nearby.
So the electricity went out.
Wait a minute. If it was pitch dark in that room, you shouldn't have been able to see anything, right?
Right, but then lightning flashed outside. That sudden flash left an unforgettable image of the scene in my mind.
I see.
I told the detective of what I saw then.
The detective?
Yes, Detective Goodman. He was in charge of the case.
Detective Bruce Goodman, the victim. Let's hear more. So you spoke to Detective Goodman about this 2 years ago.
Yes, that's what's so scary about this trial.
And you told Detective Goodman about what you saw.
Yeah, but at the time the words just wouldn't come out. That's why I drew a picture.
A picture? I think she mentioned that before.
Well, Mr. Wright, you heard enough.
No, I'm going to hear about the picture. Keep talking. This picture the witness drew, I believe it has a very important meaning. But the list of evidence I was given 2 years ago didn't contain a picture.
Witness, would you mind if we added this statement to your testimony?
Yes, Your Honor.
You drew a picture of the scene you witnessed, right?
Yeah, I want to do everything I could to help the investigation. I can still see it now, whenever I close my eyes.
Strange. I took over the case after Prosecutor Marshall died, so I never received any picture. Perhaps the witness is mistaken?
I did draw it, I swear. I'm not just imagining it.
This picture the image drew, that reminds me. Guess I should check the evidence again. Well, anyway, let's continue. This scene that imprinted an image in your mind, can you please describe it to us? Alright, hold it! That must have been a real shock.
Even now, when I close my eyes, I can still see it just as clearly.
Tell us, what were you doing at that moment? I believe you testified that Joe Darke was holding you hostage.
When lightning struck and the lights went out, Mr. Marshall jumped on Darke. I was thrown aside and the two began wrestling each other. I'm pretty sure I was watching them.
It doesn't have any reason to lie, but Lana sure does. I need to get him to tell me as much about this as she can. Alright, so we know Phoenix. Dang it, I messed up. Gotta go through this again. Okay, we need to find evidence for this. I drew a picture of that scene once, but it seems to have been lost. So, let's see. We need to find that picture. I just don't know how we're going to find the picture. Edward Jones tonight, careers in Monster Base, Neil Marshall, Edgeworth, Lana Sky, and Emma Sky were the witnesses. What's on the evidence? Oh, we can't read it. That's helpful. That's very helpful. I guess we present that because it's only half the evidence, so that means the rest of the evidence has to be somewhere. Right? Mr. Edgeworth, this little girl put all her heart into drawing that picture. And yet you would insist on denying its existence? Huh? I'm not the bad guy. All I'm saying is it's the prosecutor for that case. I wasn't handed such a picture. That may well be, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Behold, this is the evidence just for the SL9 incident. Please turn it over, Your Honor. Turn it over, Oh, what's this? Oh, I never turned it over. I'm dummy. Yes, what is that?
Hey, that's it. That's a picture I drew.
Indeed. 2 men appear to be wrestling here.
What's the meaning of this? What are you doing with that list? Me? Only the prosecutor in charge had access to that list. Well, I mean, I got it, so I don't know what to tell you, bud.
These lists, they're different from each other.
What?
It would appear, Mr. Edgeworth, the evidence list you were handed 2 years ago was incomplete. These 2 lists fit together to form one. You can see the marks here where they were torn apart from each other.
So you see, Mr. Edgeworth, it's quite obvious what happened. 2 years ago, only half the evidence in that case ever reached you. What? What? Oh, he's not happy. He's not happy right now. He is very upset.
Order, order! Miss Skye, why did you draw your picture on the back of such an important list?
Because what Detective Goodman handed me in the questioning room, Your Honor.
Wait a minute. This list was torn in half, and that means...
Your Honor, you're right, Mr. Wright. Your eyes are bulging from your head.
Does that mean Goodman tore it? The evidence list was torn in half. There might be more of the drawing on the back of Mr. Edgeworth's list. Good point.
Yes, it's quite conceivable. Mr. Edgeworth?
It's possible. Let me see. He's... Are you okay? Are you okay, man? Shouldn't have to ask. Sorry, Your Honor. There is indeed something drawn on the back of my list. Is that thing? The Blue Badger! Huh? Oh, that's that thing. It's a Blue Badger. The Blue Badger. Clearly, this act of vandalism is the work of a certain chief of detectives. Guess he's out of scrap paper. Half this was found in Gant's desk.
Very well, witness. Will you please testify about this picture you drew 2 years ago?
Huh? Oh, yes, sir, Your Honor.
What's wrong with Emma? She seemed to be thinking about something when she was looking at the picture. Alright, let's talk about that picture, Emma.
This is a picture I drew 2 years ago. The flash of lightning was so bright, all I could see were shadows. After that, I must have fainted. This picture shows exactly what I saw in that instant.
Think a flash of lightning could burn such an image in your mind.
Thanks to that, though, she's able to show us exactly what she saw. Or was she? Because I have a couple of questions. Number one, why is the man supposedly to be Darke holding a blunt object rather than a blade? Not the hard draw blade. Number two, if all she saw were silhouettes, do we really know who is who?
This clearly shows Joe Darke about to murder Prosecutor Neil Marshall.
Or does it?
The defense may now begin its cross-examination.
Okay. I have a few questions about that. Did you draw this picture right after the incident?
I think I drew it 2 or 3 days later. At first, I was in such a state of shock I couldn't do anything.
During that time, the investigation team was reorganized. Detective Goodman was placed in charge, under the direction of Damon Gant and Lorna Skye. 2 or 3 days later, the memory should have still been fresh in her mind.
Excuse me, witness. But can you please tell us why this picture is painted all black?
Because of silhouettes, bud. You're not listening? So at the time, you didn't even know it was Mr. Marshall had come to your rescue.
No, I couldn't see him clearly. Lightning was so bright, and I kind of knocked to the floor.
You were knocked to the floor?
Darke had a tight grip on me, but Mr. Marshall jumped on him. I was knocked away. I turned around. And that's when the lightning flashed.
What happened after the lightning flashed?
Well, so that must have passed out. You mean you didn't actually see the murder take place?
No, I'm sorry.
The flash of lightning only drove off the darkness for a split second. Not only that, but the trauma of the situation understandably caused the witness to faint. Do you really need to torture this girl any further? What? I'm not the bad guy here. I'm just doing my job, man. Come on.
Anyway, this picture...
It's actually what I saw in that instant. I'm sorry for asking so many times, but are you sure you drew exactly what you saw?
Of course, the exact scene.
Wasn't influenced in any way from your talks with the detectives. Are you insinuating we somehow manipulated her memory, Mr. Wright? No, I'm not. Just calm down. Watch out, you might find a way to cut my salary. No, sir, you won't.
I drew this picture before I heard anything from the detectives, so I don't think anyone's story would have influenced me.
Mr. Wright, there's something that's bothering about this picture. Huh? Oh, well... She claims static seems imprinted in her mind, and yet... Clearly a contradiction here. Obviously. Is that so? Well, then let's talk about this. That's a blunt object in the picture, is it not? Your Honor. Wait. What? How does that... not... Huh? That must faint, flashlight so bright we see were shadows. So there's got to be something here in the evidence folder that, you know, proves this otherwise. So, because he's okay. Maybe it's the autopsy report because Marshall is clearly facing the front. Maybe it's that. That's got to be it. It's definitely it. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but this picture the witness drew contains a blatant contradiction.
What? But I still remember it was yesterday.
Or do you? Mr. Wright, perhaps it would be faster if you simply pointed out this contradiction for us. What part of this picture contradicts the autopsy report? Say it's the fact that he's facing him. What? How? How does that not... How does that not contradict the autopsy report, though? I don't get how that doesn't... I don't get how that does not contradict the autopsy report. That doesn't make sense to me. Okay, well, that's okay. Let's go ahead and go back to the knife. The contradiction, of course, lies here. Take a look at the knife the man is holding. Look closely, you can see its tip is broken. Even I don't have to look closely to see that, Mr. Wright.
Mr. Wright, look at the evidence. See the murder weapon? The tip is broken, too.
If I recall, the tip of the knife was found broken off in the victim's body.
It's a conclusive piece of evidence that proved Joe Darke was the murderer.
Yeah, but it's already broken in the drawing. I'm afraid it's not so simple, Emma.
And where, pray tell, could you possibly see a problem? It's obvious, really. The victim suffered a single stab wound to the back. The victim only was stabbed once, and the murder weapon should not yet be broken. Perhaps the knife was broken beforehand, but the tip was found in his body. Sorry, but I'm afraid that's not possible. The tip of the knife was found inside the victim's body. If it was broken beforehand, it couldn't possibly wind up there. Edgeworth, aren't you paying attention, man? I thought you were supposed to be good at this. Let's go. Come on. The tip of the knife was undeniably discovered within the victim's body. The only possible explanation is the witness's memory is mistaken. That's why I asked her so many times if she was sure she remembered correctly. I believe you were annoyed at the time. She was sure she remembered correctly. But there's no other way to explain this inconsistency. Not so fast, Mr. Edgeworth. There is another explanation. Have you forgotten already? About a little something called falsified evidence? You're treading on thin ice, Wright. All I'm saying, so this broken knife tip might be the piece of evidence that was forged. Can't deny the possibility. No. Got a point, Edgy. Order, order, order! Are you saying the investigation really was corrupted? Your Honor, please allow me once again to go over the events that took place the day of the murder. The police department and the prosecutor's office were holding a ceremony that day. We know this. After receiving the King of Prosecutors Award at the ceremony, Neil Marshall questioned Joe Darke along with Damon Gant. During his questioning, Joe Darke fled the room. Prosecutor Marshall chased after him and was killed by Darke. Or so we think. It's my belief that somewhere in this story there is a lie.
I'm not lying. The man really was holding up a broken knife.
If that's true, then there's no other way around it. This could not have been the actual murder weapon. It must have been another broken knife. What are the chances of there being two broken knives? The broken knife besides Joe Darke's. It's a screwdriver. It's a screwdriver! Emma's mistaken. There is no other knife. It's a screwdriver. Broken knives don't just grow on trees. No way there is another one. Well, Mr. Wright, Your Honor, I believe the witness must have been mistaken.
I knew it. You really don't believe me.
That flash of lightning burned an unforgettable image in her mind. It's been torturing her ever since. There's no way Emma could just be mistaken. If the witness is adamant of the accuracy of what she saw, it can't be explained by simple observational error.
Mr. Wright.
In that instant, Emma really did see a broken knife. I assume, then, that you have some information about this other broken knife, so please feel free to enlighten us. Murder weapon was already broken prior to the murder. There's only one way. Take a look at this. Here's the real murder weapon. This piece right here. If anything's broken here, it's you. Huh? Sure, this all must be amusing to you, Mr. Wright. I remind you that... What? Lame. Well, I mean, I don't exactly have another broken knife in my... I don't exactly have another broken knife in my, Jeez, I'm about to lose a trial already! There is no other broken knife! Wait. It's gotta be that. It's gotta be the knife. 'Cause it's broken. It has to be that. Duh! You idiot. You idiot, Isaiah. Of course it's this. What?! How? How is that possible? Makes no sense. Makes no sense. That is just... The screwdriver... You know what I bet it was? I bet it was the freaking Blue Badger. If it was the freaking Blue Badger. I can almost guarantee it. I'm so mad. Alright, Lana, you're guilty, I guess. Sorry. I tried. But you're guilty. Alright. Alright, guys. I don't know how it wasn't one of those. That makes no sense to me whatsoever. The screwdriver seemed super obvious. Super obvious. But apparently it wasn't the screwdriver. So, in that case, that's going to do it for us today. And we're just going to have to get back
into the trial and hit the right thing, whatever it is, on Monday. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you all enjoyed watching me struggle with that. And we will be back on Monday to pick up where we left off and find out what the real murder weapon was. Stay tuned. I'll see you guys then.